It's that time of the day. It's the 4th Street Sports Show. Let's get it. Welcome to 4th Street Sports Show. It is a very special sports show for us today. As California Love is playing in the background for us.
A little early, but on time as always. It is your host, Smooth Oz. With me, I have Charlie to my right. To my left, I have Nathan in the booth. I have Shania, and we have Demon and Jackson coming on later. But we're going to switch it up just a little bit today. We're going to have a special interview to kick off things on 4th Street Sports Show today. And then we'll get into our Eagle Eye and go into our break and then have our Flower segment. And from there, we'll talk a little baseball. They started off 5-0 this week on a 6-game win streak. But without further ado, we have some special guests in the studio with us today. We have head coach of the beach volleyball team, Shawn Taylor, and we have the special pair with us today. We have Hallie Phelan and we have Olivia Pierce. Taylor Pierce. I'm so sorry. Tongue twister right there. Excuse me. But we have a special pair on with us today, coming off the program's best postseason run ever. So we just want to congratulate them for that. But without further ado, we'll get things started on how the beach volleyball championships went down there in Huntsville, Alabama. So I'll start with you, Coach, first on just how was the weekend? Just recapping it all.
I think for me on the sideline, stressful. I told some friends I aged about 40 years in a matter of hours. But no, we made it a goal from the outset of the season to be playing on Saturday. And that was talked about back in August when we got here and we started practicing. We wanted to be playing on Saturday, and if we were playing Saturday, it meant we had a chance to win it all. And it wasn't an easy course, especially double limb losing the first match. It wasn't an easy course, but we found our way to Saturday, and I thought we're playing some really good ball at the end.
What about y'all? What was the experience like as, players watching those games go down to the wire?
Oh gosh, it was crazy. The whole weekend, I think starting off the first day, whenever you lose that first match, you don't just want to roll over and give up, but it is wow, this is going to be a lot harder than we thought, because it's 2-game elimination. And so that first game that we lost, we were oh man, we really got to pick it up, had to have a chip on our shoulder, we are supposed to be here, let's prove ourselves tomorrow. And I think we did just that. And with the games coming down to the wire, I think that we can both attest, just watching on the sidelines whenever it's the overall score is 2-2 and we're tied with the other team, you're waiting to get that win, and we're all on the sideline, we're cheering, the other team's cheering, it's just super intense. And it was just amazing that we could pull it off in 3 games in a row. That's just insane that we could pull it off 3 games in a row.
Definitely. I think their perspective is probably going to be a little bit different than mine, because as a coach, you're sitting and you're monitoring all 5 courts, and we don't have a large coaching staff. So where do we kind of help, or what teams do we help try to get this overall win? And we encourage them just to really focus on their court. The best thing they can do for the team is to take care of themselves. But then as soon as you're done, sometimes you're really, really excited because you just won, or sometimes you're really, really frustrated and crushed because you just lost. But then you got to look around and see oh shoot, we've got other courts going. How can I help my teammates get the win on that court?
I mean, just what did it feel like after? How did that kind of settle in? Because it's crazy that it happened all on that one day, having to face elimination, 3 times, and getting over that just after that whole wave. What did it feel like for y'all?
I would say just overall happiness and joy. After the first loss, we had nothing to lose then. We needed to go out and we needed to play with all we had, and we showed that. We did. We went out and we balled out. Mm-hmm. And we were able to get 3 more wins on us. And it was awesome. It was definitely a team win. We had, pairs helping out, all across the board. So it was just definitely happiness and joyfulness, just knowing that all of the team contributed.
And
maybe mixed with a little bit of fatigue and soreness.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that, the physical intensity of having to do 3 matches in one day with that kind of, I guess, mental approach. Also, the season could be on the line. What did that kind of just tell you about this team, seeing their performances with the season on the line?
No, I think it shows that we're gritty. I think we played a really tough schedule, and I looked at some stuff after the fact, and I think we were the second toughest after Georgia State in terms of our strength of schedule. And I think it helped us when we got into those moments where we needed to produce and we needed to find ways to score. We were able to do it because we had been in so many difficult situations before. And we talked about it throughout the course of the season. Like we're so close to getting over this hump. We lost 2-3, or we lost, even if we lost 1-4, we had several courts that went 3 and went the distance, and went 3 and we lost 18-16 kind of thing. So we'd put ourselves in that position quite a few times throughout the season against really good teams, and so I think it paid off down the stretch to have that experience, to know that we could go make these plays when we had to.
From a player's perspective, what is that like? I know, like Coach Taylor was just saying, y'all play some really tough teams. I think it was the Unconquered Invitational. Some of the top teams in the country. What does that kind of bring, to when you get to postseason play like y'all did? How did that help y'all?
Well, I definitely feel like it helps a lot, and it can be a little daunting before you play. And Taylor and I we've been here for at least, she's a sophomore, I'm a senior. I've been here for 4 years, she's been here for at least a year. And so, we kind of know what we're getting into now. Whenever we're going to, Florida State, these top teams in the country, that's kind of the mindset of, I have nothing to lose. These people are really good. This is going to make me better in the end if I give it my all, no matter what. And, you never know. You can upset someone on any given day. And so taking that and, having that mindset of, we have nothing to lose. These people are really good, but it will make us better. And then going into the Sun Belt tournament and knowing, these people are really good, but we've played better. And so, why not us? Why can't we beat this team? We've seen, the best competition in the country. So, why not, let that, learn from that? And even if we did have to take, a couple of losses, learn from it and take whatever we got from that game and, apply it somewhere else. And we did. That's what we did in the Sun Belt Conference.
Of course, and just to add to that, you talked about that confidence boost of, hey, no matter who the opponent is, we've played against the best of the best. And just going into that, just rattling off 3 straight wins and stuff like that, what was just the key factor in it, just between y'all? What was the message, Coach, I guess, to the girls? Just, what was the message after one, hey, we got another one, back-to-back games with the fatigue and stuff that may have occurred there? Yeah.
I think in some ways it was kind of like business as usual, take care of our bodies and make sure we're doing what we need to do. At the outset of the tournament, one of the things we talked about, the hard work is done. We've got up, we've been in the cold, we've been in the hot, we've been in the weight room, we've been in the sand practicing every day. The hard work is behind us. Let's go have fun and enjoy the day, whatever it brings. Let's enjoy the tournament, whatever it brings. And if we do that at the end, we'll be fine.
So we heard y'all made the all-tournament team. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
What's the experience been like, working together? I think beach volleyball is kind of unique. I guess tennis, you got doubles and stuff. But what goes into being a pair, kind of growing the chemistry and being able to compete on the, not court, but the sand?
It's a court.
I would say me and Hallie started playing together near the end of the season, but right when we started playing together, I think we just clicked. We both had this fire in us. We both, every time we hit the sand, we want to win. That is our end goal, is to win and just to have fun while doing it. And I think we accomplished that as a pair. We definitely have a lot of fire in us, so just for the conference to see that in us, that's a huge honor. And it's just great. We have fun. We love each other on and off the court. So.
Yeah.
I will say this is the quietest they are. If they were mic'd up during competition, you'd have to have the producer turning down the volume on their mics. Otherwise, you'd be blowing people's ears out.
It's actually really funny. We were watching back one of the games that were streamed on ESPN, and it was mostly showing Court 1, which is just fine. And at the tournament, it was Court 1, and then Court 2 is right next to it, and so on and so forth. But you could hear, they were showing Court 1, and you could hear us in the back just screaming our lungs off, let's go, come on, Taylor. You could just hear us, and I'm sure everyone at the tournament could hear us. But I think that's what made us such a great pair, was that we played with intensity every single point. And we always, before every single game, we would pray, we would be super calm and lock in. But then once we got out onto the sand, it was like flip a switch. We're here to win. Every single point matters. like even if it was like the other team made an error, like we're gonna scream our heads off, like because we're so happy we just got that point.
And just going into that a little bit in depth, ladies, just kind of explain to me just maybe some of the off the court, chemistry that you all may have that probably connected you so well on the sand.
Well, I feel like even last year, whenever Taylor came in as a freshman and I was a junior, I think that like one of the first times we like connected was, I think we like went to church, we like went to Venture or something, and so that just like kind of started off the like same foot. Like we do have the same beliefs. Like this is something like we can connect on like outside of the court. Like we don't just have to be friends in volleyball. And so like being able to like go to Bible studies outside of volleyball and go to church sometimes and like invite each other to churches or like just like spend that time outside of volleyball, but also like we can bring our like faith and our Christianity into volleyball, and that's what like connects us on and off the court to like have like a different level connection, I think.
I definitely agree. It's definitely our faith that brought us together. And also Hallie's just a likable person. So,
Got you. And from a coach's standpoint, Coach Taylor, just kind of explain to me what works for them so well on the court also.
I think a lot of it is their energy, and they're both very fiery, and sometimes that can be a bad thing because it's too much, and we talk about it a lot. Like, we want to make sure that we're able to build and progress and not have this roller coaster of emotion and energy as the match is going on. But I think, that's credit to Hallie's maturity and even Taylor growing up and being in her second year, just being able to manage their game, manage their emotions, and then just their athleticism and their ability. So everybody asks, like, how do you partner people up? It's like, well, we look at what range you're playing in within our team, and then who are the better fits personality-wise. And from an athleticism, from a volleyball standpoint, they're pretty good, or they're pretty similar in their abilities. And then the chemistry, obviously, has been a good thing as well.
As a whole, like we were kind of saying earlier, most wins in a single season for the program, and then you have this deep postseason run. It feels like just yesterday you were here last year, talking about the shape of things. A lot's changed though since you didn't know what conference you'd be playing in last year around this time. Just how did this season go, and how do you feel about the trajectory of things right now?
I think we talked about it at the end of conference. Like, we continue to push the bar higher. And that includes regular season and postseason. And so at the end of the day, what happens in the regular season isn't that big a deal. I mean, we want to win every match, but as they said before, like, we want to challenge ourselves and be our best version of ourselves at conference. And so the fact that we were able to make that deep run was huge, and I think we continue to build and get better every year. And tier, because we're graduating a couple seniors. But at the same time, we've got a lot of young players coming back that should be the core of our team the next couple years. And so that's really exciting. If we continue to build and continue to grow and continue to learn, then we will continue to get better. And I hope that Hallie continues to watch, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we're winning a conference championship. A year from now, we're winning a conference championship, and she can kind of pat herself on the back and say, I was a part of that. We couldn't get there without the contributions I made. So, and I don't want to gloss over shout out to the Sun Belt, because they really stepped up. And 6 months ago, there was, I don't want to say a lot of panic, but I think some uneasiness amongst the head coaches in terms of, would we have a home? Could we compete for an automatic qualifier? Is there going to be some sort of postseason? And Sunbelt did not hesitate. They stepped in. They said, here's our first priority, get the automatic qualifier for the national championship. Boom, done. That took 6 to 8 weeks for them to go through the proper channels and get the waiver and do all that stuff. And then it turned to, let's get a championship. What teams does that? Because there's 4 Sunbelt schools that have beach volleyball. How do we get to at least 6? And they were able to get to 8 with affiliate members. And I think put on a conference championship that we haven't been a part of without any time to really plan it. Whether it was the marketing, and credit to Raleigh and the city of Huntsville as well. But the ESPN Plus coverage was huge, and just some of the stuff I saw on Twitter, I think I just looked before we came in here, it's sitting at about 3,500 views. That's huge because we're tapping into markets and we're hitting people that we haven't been able to hit before with beach volleyball, which is awesome. So want to make sure the Sun Belt gets credit, and there were a lot of people that played into that. But I think for these young women, like an incredible opportunity to compete in postseason play.
Of course. Thank you, Coach, for that. And just to you two ladies again, Olivia, not Olivia, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Shouldn't have brought up her name. Shouldn't have brought.
I have a friend named Olivia Pierce, so I apologize.
Okay.
But just to go back to it, Hallie, you're a senior. Just coming up again, what is the next step forward for you in the future? Just coming up, what are your plans? And then same for you, Taylor.
Well, like, I've been so grateful for the past 4 years that I've had, and in the future, I mean, honestly, I don't have that big of plans. Like, I'm going to be applying to PA school, physician assistant school, like, sometime in the near, like, probably the end of the summer, and so just kind of, like, making that transition into being an adult and doing NARP things, like, things that, like, I'm not a student athlete anymore, so just, like, growing up and being an adult, getting ready for that, and it is going to be a big transition. I've talked to some, like, my old teammates that have graduated and are like have normal jobs and living a normal life, and they say like soak it in, like soak in every last moment, because like you are gonna miss it one day. And so I'm just emotionally and physically preparing for that, because like nothing's gonna compare to being a D1 athlete, especially at Southern Miss.
For me, just keep grinding. I have 2 more years left. So just with school, keeping up with school. I'm a recreational therapy major, so just to keep that going, and I have high hopes for Southern Miss. Like, I know that like Coach Shawn said, in 1 to 2 years, like, we're going to get that conference championship win. So just keep grinding, keep playing volleyball.
Of course. And to each one of you, I wish you the best of luck, Coach, on the upcoming years. And to you, Hallie, I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming endeavors. And best of luck to the program once more. And these ladies now have to get to the Talent Awards coming up. So
Got things to do.
Y'all
Busy.
They're dressed really nice.
Yeah,
So.
I was gonna say they normally don't dress like this.
Yeah, so,
Hair in the pony and let's go.
No.
but of course, we want to get you out of here. So enjoy your night and have a blessed one. We'll be back with some more. We'll have our go to our break and be back with our Eagle Eye and come up and talk a little baseball, as they went 5-0 this past week. So we'll be back on 4th Street Sports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the 4th Street Sports Show on Southern Miss Radio. And welcome back to the 4th Street Sports Show. And to my right, I have Charlie, and to my left, I have Dima, and to my right again, I have Jackson.
And then there's always
What's
Nathan.
up? And there's always Nathan. So the guys are back on. We're going to open up discussion with our Eagle Eye. After we just had our recent interview with the head coach of the beach volleyball program, Shawn Taylor, and we also had Hallie Phelan and Taylor Pierce come on, the special pair that led the way for the beach volleyball team as they had the best postseason run in beach volleyball program history. But without further ado, I'll kick it over to you, Dima, talking about some baseball.
Swing it over to you.
Hey. Well, the Golden Eagles were swinging this weekend. Sweeps. They 5-0 week. Technically a 6-0 week if we want to get into debate about whether or not the Sunday starts the week or Monday. But so beat Tulane, wild game. Slade Wilkes. Who else? Right. 3-run homer to take the lead down there in New Orleans. Or 2-run homer to tie Sargent Homer to take the lead. Wednesday they beat Louisiana Tech at home. Pretty good game right there. Another close one. Then they swept Arkansas State this weekend. None of those games were particularly close. Highlighted by a 15 strikeout performance by Tanner Hall on Friday. And then highlighted by good relief pitching along with good starting pitching from Billy Oldham Jr. on Saturday. And then Sunday it was just batting practice. 5 home runs by Southern Miss. 2 for Blake Johnson, 1 for Carson Pato, 1 for Matt Etzel, and then I can't remember.
Reese had one, didn't
Yeah, Reese. Okay, yeah, Reese. Okay, so that'd be your 5. And then they play Tulane on Tuesday, and then they welcome in South Alabama. Look who's standing in the way once again this weekend and at the Pete. They're 1 game back behind Coastal. But everything, as far as in the Sun Belt standings, but everything behind them is really closely contested. They do hold 2-game lead, I think, over the 3 seed, and then they're sitting 25 in RPI, which I think is a pretty solid place you want to be sitting right now. That, in my opinion, with their winning the Arkansas State series, it's going to go down, but it'll just kind of sit right there at 25, 24, 23, 21, 20, 22 until the season ends, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, pretty good weekend for Southern Miss. Big news, Matthew Adams came back on the mound, started Sunday. It'd be really, really big for them to get Matt back, and because you really have that 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, right? Yeah. Because you don't have that now because you're having to bring your midweek guy to play the Sunday spot, but now they got Tanner Hall, Billy Oldham, Matthew Adams, and then Nico Mazza on Tuesday. They're starting Nico Mazza tomorrow night against Tulane.
I think we talked throughout the season, the hitting, you can knock on wood, but it seems to be going right now, and if they can get their pitching back and just have a steady rotation, that will just do so much. Like you put out that stat on Sundays, how good they've been, or just in the third game. But I was looking just this past week. They had 3 of 5 games. They had double-digit hits, and the others I think were 6 and 7 hits still. So they're getting people on base right now, and you go back to that Coastal Carolina series, and you're like, if they had actual steady pitching, they could compete with the best of best, and they're only 1 game behind Coastal, right? And the crazy thing is that they can't afford to slip up because the Sun Belt is just jammed right now. I think 6 teams are at 11 and 10 or 5. Yeah. We can pull up the standings real quick, but South Alabama is one of those teams that are at 11 and 10, and that they actually won a couple games just over the past couple weeks, kind of improved. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I don't know much about them as far as how they play or anything like that, but I do know the times I have watched them the last couple of years, they always give Southern Miss trouble. So statistically, they hold the all-time series advantage over Southern Miss 20-18. They beat them 5 times straight, I think, from like 2019 through 2021. And finally, last year, Southern Miss was able to break the curse. But you can never count South Alabama out in any sport against Southern Miss, as we know. Yeah,
I would say South Alabama. They're kind of scratchy team. That they're not going to sweep an opponent. They won 2 of 3 against Troy, 2 of 3 against Georgia State. So they're on that just win the series mindset. And like you said, I think they'll get one from Southern Miss this weekend. But I don't think Southern Miss will drop the series. And I don't think personally South Alabama has played a team with the caliber of Southern Miss. Though. The only team I think they played who had the caliber of Southern Miss was probably Alabama, and Alabama beat them 14-0. So, but for South Alabama, I know you said that they're right there in that conference mix. Their next 3 conference series at Southern Miss, at Coastal Carolina,
It's rough.
and then Arkansas State on the road, which we saw what Arkansas State does. But to get Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss back-to-back weeks, you're adding a lot of potential Sun Belt losses right there, Jackson.
That's definitely tough. If history is any indicator, buckle up for this weekend.
Yeah.
But speaking of those pesky Jaguars, let's move on to the other diamond, because Southern Miss softball's chances of making the Sun Belt tournament got a little bit tougher after South Alabama swept them at home this weekend. Hannah Borden, she hit a career-high 3 home runs against one of the conference's best pitchers, Olivia Lackey, Friday. We talked about her having that insane ERA.
She hit 3 home runs
Yeah.
off of. So before that game, she had only allowed 9 home runs the whole year,
Yeah.
and I've had pitched close to 200. I don't want to say 200, but over like 140, 150. So think about that. In one game, 3 home runs.
I was doing that in slow pitch softball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I kind of want to know how Hannah figured that out, because as Jackson will tell you, Lackey came in and almost shut out the Golden Eagles, or almost had a no hitter. She did shut out the Golden Eagles.
Some hitting styles just mesh well against some pitching styles, even if the pitcher is really dominant. But just kind of going off of that, the Jaguars did get 10 runs. They took the opening game. And after 7 innings on Sunday, there was no score, but South Alabama, they hit 2 doubles to claim Game 2. Lackey then shut out the Golden Eagles and only allowed 1 hit, as y'all mentioned.
She just turned a switch or something.
Yeah, and she took that personally. And it was 11-0. Quite a dominant victory.
Yeah, that's what you call shutting out.
She flipped a switch. And,
that is insane.
She wasn't going to take that disrespect.
What was Olivia Lackey's line against her on?
Oh my gosh, I don't have it, but obviously just 1 hit, no runs, and then I think like 8 or 9 strikeouts.
Is that good?
Yeah, and it was 5. It was only 5 innings.
Yeah.
The curse.
It was ridiculous. South Alabama's got their pitching staff is crazy.
Unreal.
So the fact that Southern Miss it was held in those first 2 games was really impressive, and especially for Hannah Borden to get 3 home runs.
No kidding. Right now, the Golden Eagles are 4-16 in conference play this season. They're 2 games behind the number 9 and number 10 seeds. The good news for them, though, is that Georgia Southern is on a 9-game losing streak, and Southern Miss plays the number 10 seed this weekend. With a series win against Georgia State on the road, the Golden Eagles could make their way into the tournament.
That's optimistic.
As it stands right now, number 9, Georgia Southern, 6-15 on that 9-game losing streak. Georgia State, 6-15 as well. And then you have 11-12. Southern Miss is at 4-16, and then App State is at 3-16.
4-16
in conference play.
Yes, in conference play. So even if Southern Miss made, we understand that it's a transition year, but even if they made the conference tournament, they would be going up against Marshall or Louisiana, who are ridiculous. But we've seen them compete the last couple of weeks.
Where's the Sun Belt tournament?
Huh?
Where's the Sun Belt tournament?
I don't know about for softball.
Is it the U.S.
I
of
think
A?
I'm getting
America.
confused, but I know one of them is in Conway. I'm thinking that might be track. But I'm talking about track. We'll move on to track.
Yes,
we can talk about softball next week. But Southern Miss Track and Field closed out their regular season 4 event wins at the Maroon and White Invite this weekend. Zane Palomino took a title in the high jump, and Keyshawn Bird also won the triple jump, so they did good on the jumps. And on the women's side, Carlin Beal won the 5,000-meter run, and the 4x100-meter relay team clocked a time of 44.64 for first place and the second best time in conference, so we could see them competing for a title.
title in the Sun Belt. So the team now heads to Conway next for the Sun Belt Outdoor Track and Field Conference Championships on May 11th through 14th. And just tell you, we Southern Miss, we can expect to see a couple of Southern Miss players, get some titles. I think this year. I think they have some pretty good chances. We were talking about Smilla Kobe having those good times. Carlin Beal, then you got Omar Austin. A lot of big names in the relay team. So, also men's golf had a promising start to the Sun Belt tournament. We were trying to stay updated with that. They're actually within the top 5 for the first couple of days, but they slipped out of contention the final day, all the way down to 10th place. So a rough finish for them.
That's why they say there's a lot of golf to play.
There is, yeah. I mean, it was tight. It was tight throughout those first couple of days. Actually, Georgia Southern, who's like number 26 team in the nation, was like towards the bottom, and then just jumped to a crazy.
That's sometimes when I
finish.
play golf, I like the first 2 holes is decent. Maybe par, maybe birdie, double, triple, quadruple, everything like that.
The beach volleyball, like we said, made a run in the postseason tournament. They kind of switched things around after losing that opening match against Coastal Carolina. Went crazy, 3 straight elimination matches down to the wire. Made it all the way to the semifinals. So congrats to them. And like we said, Taylor Pierce and and Phelan, Hallie Phelan.
Emphasis on Taylor.
Yeah, made it to the all-tournament team. So congrats to them. But now we got to talk about the draft because we were keeping our eyes glued to the NFL draft, and there's some pretty exciting news.
I think Austin should announce the first one.
I think it's pretty exciting that the Eric Scott Jr. goes to the Cowboys. Shout out to Ethan too. He's not here in the booth, man. But shout out to the Cowboys fans. I think that the Southern Miss Cowboy connection is definitely alive and well now.
It's not for me.
We got a bunch of stuff from Eric Scott. We even got his phone call with Jerry Jones on that we're gonna play.
Definitely emotional. So yeah. Without further ado, let's play that clip.
The NFL Draft is a day many players dream of their whole lives, and one Southern Miss player had that dream become a reality in the 2023 NFL Draft.
Coach, I can't wait. You're going to get 110 from me. I appreciate everything.
The Dallas Cowboys selected Southern Miss defensive back Eric Scott Jr. with the first pick of the 6th round.
Boys Nation, what's going on? It's Eric Scott checking in from Kansas City. I just got drafted. I can't wait to get down to Dallas and give you guys everything I got.
Scott is the first Golden Eagle to be selected since Quez Watkins in 2020 and the highest pick since Tarvarius Moore in 2018. 14 Golden Eagles declared for the draft this offseason, and while Scott was the only player selected in the 7 rounds, several players were picked up after the draft. Some boards projected star receiver Jason Brownlee to be drafted on the 3rd day, but he slipped out of the draft. Still, he was one of the first names to go in the undrafted free agency signings. He joins the New York Jets on a receiving corps that will work with future Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Offensive lineman Tykeem Doss also signed an undrafted free agency deal with the Baltimore Ravens, where he could be protecting the league's highest paid player, quarterback Lamar Jackson. And outside of undrafted signings, 2 players have been invited to teams' mini camps this offseason. The Chicago Bears invited defensive end Dominic Kuon to the rookie minicamp, and cornerback Natron Brooks also received an invite from the Jets. Linebacker Santrell Latham also accepted a deal with the Michigan Panthers of the United States Football League. There are now 10 former Southern Miss players on active NFL rosters, and these undrafted players will look to work their way up to finding a spot on their new teams. This has been Charlie Luttrell with the 4th Street Sports Show.
Thanks, Charlie, for that special wrap as we get these new Golden Eagles pursuing their professional careers, as there are now a total of 5 right now with NFL hopes. So congratulations to those 5 individuals: Jason Brownlee, Tykeem Doss, Dominic Kuon, Natron Brooks, and, of course, Eric Scott Jr. So I'm definitely going to be rooting for him.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm
awesome
not a Cowboys
too,
fan, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
And we can hear, we're about to go show you his reaction, obviously. I mean, imagine just like, you're sitting at your house, and then you get a call and it's Jerry Jones, like out of all people. And you can tell Eric Scott.
In fact, we have a call on the line right now.
Let me take that. Yeah, but Eric Scott got a little emotional. We're going to play that clip. It's really powerful, an awesome moment.
What's going on?
Will McClay with the Cowboys. Got somebody who wants to talk to you.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Eric.
What's going on?
This is Jerry Jones.
Mr. Jones.
We're fixing to turn that card in for you to be a cowboy.
Oh.
Dallas Cowboys.
I got tears in my eyes.
6'1"
Jones,
Southern or Miss.
Mr.
Coming to Dallas.
Jones, thank you.
Eric, how you doing?
How you doing, Coach? I'm glad to be on the phone with you right now.
Absolutely, man. It's great to hear your voice again. The next to Kansas finest.
Eric, congrats, man.
Thank you so much. I got tears rolling down my eyes right now, man. I appreciate you guys.
Your journey deserves tears, man. You've been through the fire, and you've come out the other way as a strong, tough-ass competitor, man. And so we can't wait to coach you, bro.
Coach, I can't wait. You're going to get 110 from me. I appreciate everything.
So yeah,
that was really good.
It's about to bring tears down
Yeah.
my eyes. Like,
Yeah.
dang.
that
Which
was
is
really
like,
emotional. So
That is powerful.
yeah. So
We love the NFL draft,
of
man.
course,
That's what it's all about.
yeah. Definitely just wishing E. Scott the best of luck. As again, these other guys we have. Go ahead, Demi.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Let's not take away that moment. You know, you think
Yes.
about even for everybody in the draft, not just Eric Scott, but it means more just because it's somebody we covered and saw him, especially Charlie. I mean, you being here and Austin, you being here longer than all of us in here. And, you know, these football players work their entire life to get that phone call. You know, like they were 6-year-old watching on TV. Hey, I want to be like that guy. He's pointing to Aaron Rodgers. You know, I want to be like this guy, and they get that phone call,
Man.
and it's like I can't even imagine what those emotions must be like. You know?
Especially, from a
Yeah.
franchise, hate them if you do, but they're prolific. I mean,
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is like the face of football.
Yeah.
He's like the most
The
prolific
icon.
owner.
Yeah.
Sorry
To
to
get that
interrupt,
call.
Austin,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to take away that emotional moment.
That was a great statement, Demon. Like you said, these guys have worked their tail off to get to this point, and to see them make it this far is truly special, and especially for us just to see a guy that we've covered so long make it to the league, especially with a guy of his caliber, and not just him, but everybody else. And I have one more statement also. It was another guy that got drafted, and it was kind of emotional moment also. Deuce Vaughn, the guy from Kansas State. His dad was actually a scout of the Dallas Cowboys, and just to call your own son and say like, hey, you want to come to work with me today, and that was truly special too. So
That got me.
yeah, that was truly special just to see these guys have those dreams and aspirations and make it to this point. And the biggest thing is also they've got the call now, they got their shot. Now they have to make that 53-man roster and really hone in and show their skill. So definitely wishing these guys the best of luck as always. And just from you guys, just a few statements, of course, just on some of the guys that got drafted.
Let's talk about it.
Well, not just drafted, but went undrafted or just got the call to rookie mini camp.
Man, so I was working, but I was watching the live tracker because I will say, and this isn't like saying anything against, I just expected Jason Brownlee to be drafted. It was surprising that
I think everybody did.
Yeah, it was surprising that he slipped. I expected just the best chance. Like, I was thinking E. Scott, Dominic, and then Jason Brownlee. But, I mean, obviously you saw Jason went right after the draft. Lots of these teams value undrafted players, too. It doesn't really knock anything against you if you aren't drafted. A lot of these teams really look for value in undrafted free agents. And lots of the times they get pretty good deals, too. So I don't know the full disclosure on Jason Brownlee's deal, but hey, I mean, he gets to go to New York right now to join a pretty tight receiving core and working with Aaron Rodgers. He posted a picture, on his story today of Aaron Rodgers walking into the facility. That's pretty awesome, for him to go. We were kind of working out some scenarios, just to wake up and say, whoa, I'm going to be working with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, there was a lot of disappointment that he didn't get drafted, but if he was going to be a late 7th round pick, he might be better off being an undrafted free agent, getting to choose where he goes, obviously you got to be offered, but getting the opportunity to go work with Aaron Rodgers and something like that, I mean, that is a prospect that you just don't want to pass up. So that might actually work out better for him in the long run, obviously. So just happy for him, happy for Tykeem Doss, Dominic Kewan, and Natron Brooks as well. Just
there's a history in the NFL of undrafted players. I mean, I hesitate to say this name in here. Tony Romo, he was undrafted, and he started for the Cowboys for a couple seasons.
To say it.
Hey, I didn't want to offend you, Austin. I was trying to be nice, but I will say, I'm glad the top 3 was correct. So I just want to point that out. That I think that.
I don't know, Jim.
I do. Other than the Texans getting the 3rd pick, the top 2 picks were good.
Yeah. And just to go back to the Jason Brownlee discussion, also you talked about him going to the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Just going based off the track record of Aaron Rodgers and just wide receivers that you may not have heard of before.
He's used to not playing with first-round wide receivers.
So, if there was any, best circumstance for Jason Brownlee, you can't beat going to the Jets.
He's playing with Garrett Wilson and all these players.
And I think he brings specifically to that locker room or to that receiving core a different skill set than the guys they have.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, obviously, Demon probably knows. He's very different receiver than Jason Brownlee. I think how Jason Brownlee is going to be used is like a red zone threat kind of guy. I really think he could be. It depends, on camp and everything, but I could see him being utilized like this season.
Even as just a red zone guy coming in, fade slot route. What he was doing here.
And I think it's interesting because a couple of years ago, I guess what teams are looking for change every couple of years because a couple of years ago it was all about speed.
Tyreek Hill type of.
Quez went in the 6th round because he had second best 40 time, and still I think that 40 time probably hurt him, but teams understood with his physical stature and just his ability just to win one-on-ones, that's valuable. He's a reliable guy, and I think too if you put Jason Brownlee on team, let's say with Grayson McCall, with a steady quarterback situation, this dude is draft pick, but that's what they're saying. The Jets got to steal. They just straight up got to steal.
And I will say this: the Cowboys traded up to draft Eric Scott. He's going to make the roster.
Definitely.
If for some reason the other 4 players don't make a roster, it's not the end of their journey because right now, as opposed to let's say even 2 years ago, there's so many more avenues to continue playing pro football. We saw Santrell Latham get drafted in the USFL by the Michigan Panthers. There's the XFL, of course. Their playoffs are in full swing. The CFL is still there, still hanging along. There's just so many more avenues for these players that might not make NFL rosters. So if they don't make it, they can still continue their dream. So it's not the end of the world if they don't make it, but we hope nothing for the best for them.
Yes, of course, and that's an excellent point that you made there also. But without further ado, guys, we're going to take the break. We'll come back and have our 4th Street Player of the Week announced. Brought to you by University Floors and Gifts on Highway 49 here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So we'll be back after the break.
Missouri.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show. We're now giving flowers.
And welcome back to 4th Street Sports with our flowers segment, brought to you by Logan Maxwell right there, introducing the segment. But without further ado, I'm going to pass this one over to Charlie as he's going to announce our 4th Street Player of the Week.
Yes, so the Twitter algorithm didn't fail us today. People actually saw our poll and voted. It was a very tightly contested race, so thank you for everybody voting. And there's a couple people, we had to leave off some good nominees too. Blake Johnson easily could have been a nominee. Dustin Dickerson even could have been a nominee. We felt like we had to put Carson in there though, just for coming back and putting that performance yesterday. Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh wow, and we're just getting some news here. Collegiate Baseball Newspaper National Player of the Week, Tanner Hall. So,
oh, wow.
Flowers to him. And I guess with that being said, congratulations to Tanner Hall winning the more important award, the 4th Street Player of the Week.
Way more important.
Yeah, you can hang that. I doubt Collegiate Baseball Newspaper is giving you flowers. Actual flowers from the university florist. Beautifully handcrafted bouquet. Just picked them up fresh off of Highway 49 today.
Tulips?
Yes, they are tulips with a couple sunflowers. Don't know what the other flowers are. But yes, a very beautiful arrangement for Mr. Hall.
Got the display.
So 15 strikeouts this week. I mean, whoa. Career high before then was 14, so he got one extra. And just another.
It was funny. He got the strikeout, and then they just pulled him out.
Yeah, they're like, all right.
We know Coach House was just leaving him in there. Just get one more.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Just wow.
That was like video game numbers, 15 Ks, man.
And I want to say we were laughing because I really want to know the story. Hannah Borden getting 3 home runs off of a pitcher who before this week he had a 1.00 ERA with some of the most innings pitched in the Sun Belt. So this shout out to her. She had a whole fan base voting her on today. 3 home runs in a single game, 5 RBIs. And by the way, they only scored 5 runs, so she was responsible for everything. So, I mean, yeah, South Alabama's a tough team, and to do that against them, she deserves her flowers too. And then we got Zane Palomino, first and high jump, 2.10 meters at the Maroon and White Invitational. And then Carson getting back, 3 hits, 5 RBIs. Yeah. So congrats to all of them. We had some other good performances too, but also we were just keeping our eyes glued to the draft, like we said. So flowers to Eric Scott. We didn't really talk about Tykeem Doss, but could be protecting the highest paid player in the league. And they've been looking for a kind of consistent tackle on the Ravens for a while now. So he could provide depth to that lineup. He's gonna have to make the squad first, though, as an undrafted free agent, and then also Dominic Huon and Natron Brooks invited to the mini camps. Dominic going to the Bears mini camp. They kind of like those speedy kind of, he's kind of a versatile, he could be a linebacker, could be an edge guy, but he has that skill set to kind of do both. It'll be interesting to see. I think he can really be valuable. And then, of course, Natron Brooks. I just want to say, Natron, from when we were first watching him here, he really grew. I remember seeing him when he first started. He had some struggles, but in that same year, he really developed. And then to last year, being valuable on special teams, and then also in coverage, he's really grown into a special player. So it'll be interesting to see. He might be going one-on-one with Brownlee in the Jets mini camp. That would be pretty crazy to see.
I mean, there's always going to be a spot for a Natron Brooks on special teams in the NFL. So that's always the door's always going to be open for him there.
Yeah. Guess we got we gotta go. I think we gotta go. But y'all tell me your favorite pick of the NFL draft.
CJ Stroud at number 2.
I gotta say, I'm glad Panthers chose Bryce Young at number 1. That was the right pick. I gotta say, I don't know. My favorite Saints pick was trading Adam Troutman.
I was about to say, that was awesome. That made me happy.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. Not just trading him, but getting getting the Wake Forest guy.
Man, I don't know.
I think the biggest steal is Jalen Carter at 9.
Yeah,
that was wild.
The Eagles really.
What about Jahmyr Gibbs at that was wild.
That's crazy.
It was interesting.
I didn't think he was going to be an NFL back though.
Oh yeah.
Watching that guy, he's like an older Kamara.
he's unbelievable. 12. I think he could have
Think
gotten
Vons are gonna
18
be
and been
good.
happy.
Yeah.
I will say underrated pick of the draft might be Sam Laporta out of Iowa
Yes.
going to
Yeah.
Detroit.
Laporta, underrated tight end.
I thought
he
him
could-
and Hooker too. I know some people were flaming that it was second round,
What
but
about Will Levis second round? It's crazy to me.
I think he actually got it.
I think
that was about right.
yeah, I think he
I
got.
did not think he was that
He
good.
got hyped up.
I think the Titans got to steal it.
I think
second
they do.
round.
It makes sense for them. It makes sense for them.
I think if I'm talking about my Cowboys, of course.
Micah.
Skill.
Hey, man, whatever. I think mine is the Texas guy, I mess it up every time. DeMarvion Overshawn.
Oh,
the
yeah,
linebacker guy. So
And watch out for Jackson Smith-Jigba.
I like the Seahawks. Oh my gosh, that's honestly probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was a
They
good.
Seahawks had a good
draft.
draft.
Yeah.
It's just too bad he doesn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
But anyway, we could talk about the draft.
I wish he went to the Saints, dude. That'd been insane.
Yeah, we could talk about it all day, guys. But like I said at the beginning of the show, this is a sentimental show, guys. This is good. Actually, our last show in the studio.
Maybe.
We'll be back next week.
Maybe.
Mayhaps.
I've heard reports that they're not trying to let us back in the studio.
Oh, they're trying to kick us out.
Yeah,
They hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, so this could potentially, guys, be the last show in the studio. But as always, we'll be around. There's a lot of baseball to cover. But just stay up to date with us and continue to follow our social media at 4th Street Sports Show on Twitter and elsewhere. But we'll be back as always and continue to follow the podcast, and on YouTube, follow us at Southern Miss Student Media Center. And that has been all from your host, Smooth Oss. To my right, Charlie Jackson. To my left, Dima and Nathan on the keys. And shout out to Sanaya in the producing booth. But that has been all from 4th Street Sports Show.
Come back next Monday at 5 on Southern Miss Radio. 4th Street Sports, baby.